In Matthew 17, 1-8, we read that Jesus took Peter, James, and John with him up into a mountain, and he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And Moses and Elijah appeared with Jesus, and he began to talk to them. And Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, if it's good, I can make 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." And then a voice appeared out of the cloud, came out of the cloud, and said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear him." And when Peter, James, and John heard the voice, they fell on their face. Jesus came over and touched them. He said, "Don't be afraid." And when they looked up, they saw only Jesus. You see, the voice that spoke to them is also speaking to us today. Moses and Elijah. Moses represented the law, and Elijah represents the prophets. And they testify of Jesus. And that voice is telling us today to hear Jesus. You know, during Jesus' day, he said to the Jews, "You search the scriptures." The Jews were Jesus' contemporaries. And he said to them, "You search the scriptures. You think in them you have life, but it's these that testify of me." You can read that in John 5, 39-40. It's the scriptures that testify about Jesus. This is what the voice said. Hear Jesus. You see, the Jews of Jesus' day, they thought they had life in the scriptures, but life was presented to them in the person of Jesus Christ, like it is today. Life is presented to us today in the person of Jesus Christ. The scriptures testify of Jesus. The writer of Hebrews tells us the same thing. In Hebrews 1:1-3, it says, God, after he spoke long ago to the fathers in the prophets, in many portions and in many ways, in these last days, has spoken to us in his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, through whom also he made the world. And he is the radiance of his glory, an exact representation of his nature, and upholds all things by the word of his power. When he made purification of sins, he sat down at the right hand of the majesty on high. Jesus is the one who made purification of sins. God spoke to the fathers in the prophets, but today he's speaking to us in his Son. If we want to understand the scriptures, if we want to have life, we're called today to hear Jesus and turn to him.